just want to add one more concept here. So remember when we were discussing about scroll view, right? So if the anime data, that is the array which we are mapping, if the size of this data is, let's say, 1000, right? So even though maximum two animes are visible at a time, still the remaining 998 will be mounted, even though it's not visible to you, but it will still be present, right? So in order to overcome that thing, we can use something called as FlatList. So FlatList is basically a solution to this problem that only render or only keep those components mounted which are in viewport, and this is a great solution provided by React Native. So basically it is based out of a concept called as virtualization. So we are not going to go in a lot of depth what it is. We should definitely read and try to understand what virtualization is. It's a really interesting concept, but rather we'll see the implementation of it. So what I'll do is I will comment out the scroll view and I'll say I will use the FlatList component, and make sure your imports are coming from React Native, because FlatList and scroll view, these imports are also present in other libraries which we are using right now. For example, in React Native gesture handler, you can find FlatList and scroll view. Even though it won't cause a problem, but the behaviors are a little different. So let's just stick to React Native thing, right? Now, once imported, this FlatList component expects a couple of props. So one of them is the data prop. So the data basically has to be an array. So okay, we can see that it's saying array like, right? So something which is array like. So anime.data is definitely array like, right? But now there's a problem. It says anime data is possibly undefined. So what we'll do is we will wrap with the same condition here what we were having here. If that's the case, we'll render a FlatList. Now FlatList also wants one more prop, that is render item. Now this render item expects a callback function, and in the callback function we get only one argument. Let's call it as item, or let's call it as args, so that it won't create confusion, right? And what it wants us to return the component which we want to render. That's why the name, the render item, right? So basically this prop render item will expect us to give us the component which we want to render that particular item. And now what we can say is anime is the component which we want to render. Okay, that's great. Now anime needs a bunch of props like id. So from where we can get id? If I do args.id, I don't get anything. The reason, it only gets one argument, and we can name it anything, and that argument has bunch of things: index, item, separators. So item is the one which we are interested in. So what we'll do is directly we will destructure item, and now we'll say, let me actually copy this whole thing. Okay, now what we'll say is that we are going to use this item. As simple as that, right? So nothing to break our heads with, right? Now there is an error. It says that you're not returning anything. So let's add a return statement. Now when we do that, the behavior is still the same. It's 100% same, but the difference here is that those animes will be loaded which is visible in the viewport. Others will be loaded when user performs a scroll action. So basically this is a way to optimize React application, and when you're dealing with huge lists, the best approach is to use a FlatList rather than using a scroll view. And also, if you can see, let me just remove this code. For now, I'll comment it back, obviously. Now if you see, we don't need to even implement the scroll view component, right? Because FlatList is doing that for us. So this is how we can use FlatList instead of scroll view to make our application perform much more better, right? And you can see the behavior is still same, right? I can just click on the trailers and I can go back, I can come back, right? So this is what it is, and this is the implementation of FlatList. For other concepts, stay tuned. We'll be continuing in the other videos as well. Thank you.